There we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my live stream. We're 500 feet above the streets of New York City as the sun, it looks like it's going to peek through the clouds in about 15 minutes or so. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanksgiving right around the corner. I was hoping to have a fun last live stream before Thanksgiving, but, life has a way of kicking you in the balls. Last I left you, had a fun live stream with Ron the Waiter and Tony P. I was getting ready for my anniversary with my wife. We were excited about that. We took the kids to the restaurant that we had our first date. Things were looking good for the weekend, looking good. And then and then I get a call from my older sister, and she basically announced to me that that my mom died. Yeah. 89 years old. And I've been leaking tears ever since, if you want to know the truth. And I don't want to do this live stream today, but my friend Ron the Waiter is like, man, you gotta do it. So he should be on in a few minutes, and we're gonna probably roll through this, but I have very, very mixed emotions about the passing of my mom, 89 years old. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She died alone. She died knowing that all her kids stopped seeing her years and years and years ago. And that's where we're at today. Extended family reaching out, basically saying, try to see the good. They all knew that we had a very, very tough mom, a mom that rarely gave us a break, a mom that brought a lot of sadness, a lot of negative energy into our lives. Is there good in there? Sure. There's a lot of good, but like I told my brother, I'm pushing through the sludge today and yesterday to try to find the good, and hopefully we'll get to that point eventually. But here he is, Ron the Waiter. Hi, Ronnie.
Good morning, everybody.
What's going on, man?
Well, what's going on with you? That's the real question.
You know what, Ron? I'm actually good. What I don't like about the passing of my mom at 89 years old is it just stirs up, I should say. It just stirs up a lot of shit.
Hold
when
on,
you
I have
work
a
on
question.
yourself, when you try to move on from situations, when you put up boundaries, when you decide, when you make very tough decisions and decide you're actually going to remove people from your life. A lot of that stuff just settles down all nice. 20 years of therapy and surrounding myself with good people. All that stuff settles down nice. But then as soon as I found out that my mom died at 89 years old a couple days ago, it just stirs it up. So it's all in the air again. So my thought today is I just want it to settle back down. It'll always be there. Just let it settle back down. That's what I'm thinking today.
This is my question.
Yes.
This is not a shocker. It's not like all of a sudden your mother had like leukemia and died a week later. Like, you were preparing for this. You seem a little surprised, actually. You seem like, it's not like you got caught off guard, but I think there are emotions I think you have been suppressing, because I think you were trying to say to yourself, I'm ready for this. I'm prepared. And I think it's healthy that Like,
Ron,
are
in general,
you surprised how you feel now, or like, is this how you expected it to go?
I haven't really had a good cry over it. When I told my wife, I made a joke out of it, and I'll explain in a second. I said to my wife, Mom gave me one final shot on her way out. What do you mean on her way out? Well, she died, and she gave me one final shot. I shed some tears when I was telling my wife, but in general, I've been just leaking moisture from my eyes for the last 3 days, just leaking moisture. My mom died on my anniversary. Jesus. And you might say to yourself, oh, that's just a coincidence. Oh, don't tell Ron. Ron doesn't think there's any coincidences ever.
If you think life is random, you're a fool.
My mom died on my anniversary. You might think to yourself, well, Ope, please, Ope, don't make this about yourself. And I get that, But I'll tell you the significance of my mom dying on November 22nd, okay? Yes, that is my anniversary. But it's also the anniversary of my dad's first wife when they got married. I actually got married on the exact same day, many years later, obviously, as my dad. My dad's first marriage, they got married on November 22nd. Fast forward a whole bunch of years later, and I got married on November 22nd. And my dad's first marriage was such a thorn in my mom's side our entire lives. Hey, what can you tell me about your dad's first wife? Very, very little. We weren't allowed to bring it up in our house. We would whisper it. When I got older and I would go to a bar or something with my dad, then we would have open conversations about it. He married his high school sweetheart. They were in love. They had 3 kids. 2 died from crib death. One reason why I never liked Jim Norton's stupid Uncle Paul shit. A shock jock with a boundary. Yes, I had a boundary. And I did tell Jim why I had a tough time with his Uncle Paul character, but he didn't give a shit. He just wanted people out of his fucking way. But I had a very tough time with that type of humor because of what happened to my dad. He lost 2 kids. I should have like 2 older brothers. So his wife, I don't even know, Ron. I don't even know how old, but she was maybe mid-20s, maybe. No idea. Mid-20s, she dies of some kind of kidney disease that is very treatable nowadays, but they took her out back in the day. And about a year later, my dad met my mom and ended up having 6 kids. And through our lives, we weren't allowed to bring up his past life. My poor sister, my half sister, I say half for this discussion. It was her mom. She wasn't really allowed to know much about her own mom. There weren't a lot of pictures. There were nothing. And if you brought it up, my mom would lose her fucking mind. And it wasn't like my dad went through some crazy ass divorce, but we have people out there. I understand you move on and you got to deal with an ex or something. This was a insane tragedy that happened. And we weren't allowed to bring it up. My sister certainly wasn't allowed to bring it up. And it was a sore spot with my mom. Everything was a sore spot with my mom. But the fact is, Ron, to get to your point, they got married also on November 22nd. And that's the day my mom took her final breath. Oh, my God.
Your mother's hilarious. Your mother has an absolute sense of humor.
Well, she certainly had a sense of humor, Ron. That's one thing I do remember as I was sludging through trying to remember stuff. She was a huge fan of Carol Burnett. Huge fan. When she laughed, it was infectious. She had an infectious laugh. She loved her Carol Burnett. She loved a good laugh. She did have a good sense of humor. She was a good storyteller. She was a great writer. But unfortunately, the dark cloud that literally followed her just took her down, took down everybody around her. And she chose to live in the darkness. She had a very tough time finding that light. Very tough time. When people say, rest in peace, and I've been getting a lot of rest in pieces about my mom, a lot of, a lot of my friends and family. When I say rest in peace, I know it's just something you say. I don't put a lot of weight in saying rest in peace. I know it's the right thing to say, but I don't put a lot of weight behind that. But I got to tell you, the one thing I was thinking about is like my mom is finally, and I mean this, finally at peace for real. There are a lot of people, they have an amazing life and they die, and you're saying rest in peace, and I'm thinking, no, they want to still be living. That's why it's weird to me to say that. But in my mom's case, I truly, truly mean this when I say rest in peace. I think she's finally at peace. She had no peace in this world. None. She was a tortured soul my entire fucking life. We would count the days in my house. If we had a good day, we're like, oh my God, let's go for two. Let's go for two. We rarely got to 2 days in a row that were good in my house, Rod.
It sounds like you have a form of post-traumatic stress disorder from your mother.
100%. I went through therapy.
Okay.
I have PTSD, and
oh, you did?
Oh no, I have PTSD for real, but I've only brought it up a little bit over the years because I don't want to compare myself to guys that are fighting for our fucking country, because I think that's real PTSD. But my therapist is like, it's very similar. But you don't have to compare it to the military. There's different forms of. Yeah, I understand that, but
I mean, you can be sexually abused and have that.
No, we didn't. Our stuff was just a lot of yelling, a lot of just exhaustion. It
sounded like as a child, because I can kind of relate to this. You kind of had to walk on eggshells around your mother because you didn't want to set her off. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay. Yeah, she would just march around the house all day long, finding shit that was wrong. And you got
So your mother was a housewife, or she worked?
Yeah, she did odds and end jobs to try to make ends meet because we didn't have a lot of money coming in. One of the sticking points with me was that oh my God. But I think by the time I was 16, I was counting the days that I could get out of the house. I knew at 18 I could go to college, and that would be my escape. I think that's one reason why I'm not insanely fucked up, because I was aware of the situation.
Did you ever try to run away?
I didn't know, man. I knew I had to get I know you did. I had to get an education. My goal was to get to a college and just set myself up where I could fucking move on from this. And I think that's one reason for real I'm not insanely fucked up, is because I was able to get out of the situation around 18. From 18 all the way to about 28, I wasn't home as much. The college years, I came home for the summer, and I would caddy, try to make money. And then after that, I stayed up in Rochester in the Buffalo area to start my radio career. And because I was low man on the totem pole, I only got a total of 2 weeks off a year. So I was seeing my family back home maybe 2 weeks a year, maybe every once in a while a long weekend, and that was it. And I think that really, thank God, helped me. It helped me a lot. But to answer your question about my mom and jobs, one of the things that was insanely frustrating was she took all our money. I was a caddy making really good money, and I was trying to set myself up for my own life. My parents had no money for us for college. I made my college money back in the day, big time, and then some. But I had to go to college with zero money because she took every single fucking cent, except for the money I started hiding in the wall, which we've talked about, in the past here. But it wasn't a lot because I had to give her. She wasn't stupid. I had to give up my caddy money, and she wrote it down famously. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. And I was pretty much paying for groceries for my family when I was like, 13, 14 years old, man. And so then I went to Geneseo. I should have been able to not only pay for my tuition, but also not have a job and just enjoy my college. But I had to fucking hustle up there. I had all sorts of side hustles and side jobs because I needed to make money. which which was an insanely sore subject with me. So I don't know. I'm just babbling. I know that, Ron.
Hey, listen, I can relate to the money thing. My father took my bar mitzvah money. It was like fucking 20,000-30,000. He took it.
20 or 30,000.
Yeah, bar mitzvah money, serious money, dude.
Yeah, I understand that.
Some of these people, when they have these bar mitzvahs, the family's spending like a couple $100,000 on the fucking bar mitzvah.
Right.
Like, you get a lot of money. But back then, I think I got like 30,000, which was a lot. My father took it because he was a degenerate fucking gambler, like most mobsters, actually.
Right. Oh, wow, we have a lot of fucking similarities, huh? But it was just insanely frustrating. Just literally, she never gave any of us a fucking break. It was exhausting right to the end. Exhausting to the day that I set up boundaries and said, people don't understand this, and I get it. And I pray that most of the people watching this don't understand what I'm about to say, because that means you're not in a horrible situation. But it gets to a point, like, my dad had no choice. My dad was a really good guy, and he believed he could cure my mom of her mental illness right to the day he died. The last thing he did on earth, besides walk himself to an ambulance, and then he had a brain bleed that they would find out about it an hour later, and he went into a coma and never came back. But the fact is, he walked himself to his own ambulance after this horrific car accident. He refused to leave the accident site until they got my mom out of the car. And the last gesture he did on earth was hand over his fucking handkerchief. You know how we were talking about handkerchiefs recently? Handed it to her because she was bleeding all over the fucking place. That was the last thing he did on earth, was taking care of her. And he believed in her right to his last breath. And I got some guilt today, because my dad would not have been happy with me or any of my siblings that we had to walk away from my mom. I think I had that guilt today, but I also know it's something I had to do. It was his wife. If this is happening to my wife or my kids, I'm all in right to the end. But what you learn through therapy is that sometimes, you have to let go for the sake of your own goddamn family. I let go for myself, for my wife, and for my two kids. And I had no choice. And it wasn't an easy decision to do whatsoever. And I questioned the decision for years. The fact is, the last time I talked to my mom was 7 years ago. And it was the day that I was let go from SiriusXM. I was out of my mind. I just blew up my whole fucking career. All I had to do was behave at SiriusXM, and I would still be over there. But I couldn't help myself. And I'm fine with that now. And I was at the beach house. I got the call that, they were letting me go. And I was like, holy shit, I just blew up my career. I had a great new show that I was really into, and it was all gone. It was all gone. Boof. Up in smoke. And that same day, my mom called, and I told her, and it went from that to yelling and screaming at me because I didn't send her a card recently for whatever holidays around the day I got fucking let go from Sirius. And then she started listing all the times I didn't give her cards in recent years. Never asked about the kids, never asked about the wife. All she wanted to yell and scream about was the fact I didn't send her any cards recently. This is what we had to do. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. She made it very easy. And that was the last time I ever talked to her, Rod.
It sounds, your mother has a lot of very similar characteristics to my father's sister, the narcissist.
Yeah.
So November 22nd, that's a big fucking date.
Yeah.
Your mother, by the way, definitely sense of humor. But how did she do it? How did she will herself to go on that date? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
you just can't go, okay, I'm ready. I mean, how did that happen?
I don't have a timeline. The little knowledge I'm getting about this is that, the last, for a while now, she hasn't really been with us in general. Okay. She's just been, they were actually, I think, pretty surprised she was still alive even. and then she taps out.
But she died on November 22nd, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, how does that process work when she said, fuck it. I'm gonna one last jab on the two big wedding days. She willed herself to go. You understand that?
Well,
she willed herself to go.
I mean, look, Ron, I will let that sit there. I'm not gonna push back on that. It is absolutely strange. Well, I mean, the wedding date is significant because when I got married at the Ritz-Carlton in Philly, and it was at the height of the O&A fucking phenomenon. So I had a lot of fucking money to spend, and we did it up right. We got married at the Ritz-Carlton in Philly, and to this day, people say it's one of the best days of their lives. They had so much fun at our wedding. It was unbelievable. It was almost like a fucking fairy tale fucking wedding for sure. And a day or two after my wedding, my mom called me to yell and scream at me because she wasn't treated right at my wedding. and Ron, that's
a narcissist right there. That's a narcissist.
I'm telling you right. I'm telling you right now, we treated her right. She needed a lot of attention, a lot. Physically, she needed attention. Mentally, she needed attention. And my thought at the time was, I'm going to put her at a table, where she would be comfortable with people she knows, older people, right? And then I had I wanted to give my own family a break, so they were at their own table because they also didn't want to deal with her. And then the main table was me and my brother and my wife and a few other people, and she was so pissed off that she wasn't sitting at my table on my wedding. And I knew if she was sitting at my table at my wedding, I would have been miserable. And I wasn't going to do that to me or my wife on my wedding day. So
was she nice to your wife?
Huh?
Was your mother ever nice to your wife?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay.
No, my mom was tricky, man. If you would have met my mom back in the day, you would have thought she was a lovely lady.
No, I'm telling you, they're devious people. I know. Believe me.
That's why it's
Dr.
so
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
She knows how to work you, man. She would have amazing conversations outside the house with people. People would fall for her quickly.
That's a narcissist. Yeah, they're very clever. They're always conniving. They're always. You know what narcissists do? They're like they play chess. They're always calculating. How am I going to make this relationship work for me?
Right.
For me.
Well, to be fair, just to put all of it out on the table, my mom suffered from severe OCD, severe OCD, to the point where she was convinced she was doing crazy ass shit and that she needed to go to the police station and turn herself in.
What does that mean? She's like turning the light off and on like 5 times.
It was more thoughts over and over, just terrible, horrible, fucking thoughts that you don't even want to talk about, just think of the most horrible thoughts. It was more that. Did we have a tidy house? Of course we did, but it was the thoughts that drove her absolutely insane.
So you lived in your mother kept a very clean house.
Oh yeah, man. We couldn't even have we couldn't even have sneakers out in our room. If we had just a pair of sneakers in the middle of the fucking room, it was hell on earth. Hell on earth.
This is where you and I absolutely differ. My mother does not. I lived in filth. My mother didn't clean. Just fucking dust bunnies in the corner, newspapers everywhere.
Really?
Turn on if you had to turn on the light in the bathroom first. This is Beacon Hill. These are old fucking buildings. Right. She didn't clean. Like you had to turn the light on in the bathroom first, or you would step on roaches. Like just filthy, dust everywhere, newspapers everywhere, fucking dishes in the sink for months, covered in rust.
Well, if you didn't clean your room in my house, most of us did because we knew what would happen. You would come to your house. I got to leave my siblings out of it. I got names and stories. But that's their story to tell. I'm just telling my story, and my story is pretty similar to my siblings. The fact is, if you're just tuning in, my mom died. What day is? I don't even know what day. Like 3 days ago, at the age of 89, and she, there's no way to sugarcoat this. She died alone with no one visiting her. No one visited her for years, for fucking years. It's really as sad as it gets. But in my house, if you didn't clean,
I have a question. Hold on. So was she like in a nursing home in Long Island?
Yeah, assisted living, and then they move you on to the next fucking corridor. That type of shit.
So she was surrounded by her Jamaican caregivers.
Yeah, probably. Some dude singing Frank Sinatra down the hall in a break room. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's fucking sad, but I'm gonna try to find the comedy in it. So
your mother already found the comedy in it.
Yeah,
November 22nd.
If you didn't clean your room, it would get to a point where she would completely destroy it, like completely destroy it. Whether it was everything in your room was just in a giant pile in the middle of the room, broken shit all over the place, or outside. Sometimes if there was a window, just throw everything out the fucking window. And without mentioning names, I remember very distinctly one of my siblings, in their room after one of these incidences. Just in the middle of her room, just crying among her stuff. All her, my wife had to teach me this. Like, when my kids, when they were a lot younger, they lost a toy or something, they would be devastated. I'm like, what's the fucking big deal about that? I'm okay. She goes, no, it's everything to them. Do you understand that? It's like it's like the time when your phone fucking fell in the ocean. Remember how devastated you were for days? It's the exact same thing. And I understand that now. So when I go back and tell this story about my sibling, everything this person owned was very valuable to them. And now they're in their room with their entire room destroyed in a fucking pile, going through it like you go through your house after, a tornado comes by.
I have a feeling if your mother was diagnosed now, it sounds like your mother has the symptoms of like bipolar schizophrenia.
Yeah, I mean,
that honestly, that really sounds like your mother. Was your mother ever on medication for anything?
Well, first of all, Ron, you're probably right, but I don't know. Thank God. We for the most part, most of us don't really know the extent.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that
really most of us don't know because we just had to fucking move on. But
also, Opie, back in the day, they didn't even test for that type of shit. Like back in the day, they didn't know what bipolar was or schizophrenia was.
Well, the thing is,
it's a nice sunrise behind you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, it's beautiful.
It really is nice.
I can't wait to get out of the city for Thanksgiving and just like fucking walk that beach and breathe. I just want everything to settle right back down to where it was. It's in a good spot with everything just settled down at the bottom.
No, that's wrong. If you let things can settle down at the bottom, that's when you physically get sick. That's when you get like cancer.
No, I understand that, Ron. But what I mean is like I'm good in general, but with the death of my mom, it just stirs everything up. And I'm like,
I have a question.
And I will go with these emotions. You should go with your emotions. And then I'm looking forward to it settling back down and working on shit from that level. But hold on, I gotta ask. I know you have a question, and save that because I have to answer your other question, which is very, very important. My mom, when we were growing up, we barely drank. We barely partook in any drugs or anything like that because it would be hell on earth if we came home with alcohol on our breath. I told the one story when my dad picked me up and I had a few cocktails with my friend John, and I was young. He was out of his mind panicking, and we had to make a plan on the way home because he just knew my mom would lose her shit. So the fact is, with my mom, if my dad had a second beer at dinner, she would lose her mind. And this is all based on the fact that she was brought up with a severe alcoholic, an alcoholic that I don't know what happened in my mom's house. I never wanted to ask her. She would bring it up from time to time. It didn't sound fucking good at all. And it was best not to know the details of her upbringing. Let's just put it that way. I understood in broad strokes that her upbringing was way worse than mine. I have to say that. Doesn't make it right with what happened with my mom and me and the rest of my siblings, but she had it way worse. So when she wasn't even diagnosed with anything for most of my fucking life, I remember.
It sounds like sometimes severe trauma brings on sort of like bipolar, schizophrenia. Like,
yeah,
I can relate to that. It sounds, listen, growing up with a severe alcoholic is traumatic for a kid.
So,
and that can lead to physical abuse.
I mean, we got the physical shit like anybody else my age, just.
No, I mean, do you think your mother was physically abused?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay.
I might even.
You mean sexually?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And that
it's not uncommon. That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon.
Right. I
to
don't
be physically
know,
and sexually abused, especially with an alcoholic father.
I literally don't know the answer to that. Thank God. So really fast. So if my dad had 2 beers at dinner, my mom would lose her shit. You're becoming an alcoholic. This is how she used to talk. You're becoming an alcoholic, Freddie. That's her exact.
Are you serious?
What all of us do, my mom.
It's like a character.
That's how we get it out. When we get together at little barbecues and stuff, we all do my mom's voice. That is pitch perfect. I'm telling you right now. So fast forward, I'm doing radio in Buffalo. They came up to visit me. And we had a lovely weekend. We had a fucking lovely weekend, to be honest with you. There were times, things were good, but unfortunately it was few and far between. And I remember being at Gabriel's Gate. I'll go local for everybody on Allen Street in Buffalo. And I was having a plate of wings. I had a little radio career going. I was doing overnights and I was on my way to making something of myself. And my mom and dad were sitting across from me. And my dad said, we have something to tell you. Your mom has been diagnosed with OCD. I was 24 maybe. I was 24 years old when I finally got an answer to why my mom acted like she did. I was like, oh, and it was nice to finally have an understanding. And then the problem is back then, they took care of mental illness by just giving you horse tranquilizers. Nowadays, you can microdose all sorts of shit. They're figuring out the medication a little better. But back then, they just horse tranquilized you. And my mom spent, I don't know. My mom spent at least the last 30 years pretty much in bed most of the time. From her late 50s to her death, pretty much most of her life was spent in a bed. And then she was a walking zombie. And by the end of her life, she absolutely was an addict. Absolutely an addict. Not her fault, but when they're prescribing all sorts of medication, when we finally got my mom out of the house I grew up in and we got her into assisted living, when I was still doing day-to-day stuff, trying everything I could to help her out, me and my now wife, we emptied the cabinet there, the medicine cabinet. We had 2 bags of fucking pill bottles, 2 bags. Because then she was taking care of herself, so she didn't even know what the fuck she should be taking, and she just had every possible pill bottle there is, which is so weird to come from a woman that was scared to have a cocktail when I was younger, to this state. And then we got her into the home, and then they got control of that part of her life. So that's
I had a very rich aunt in Brockton, Massachusetts, very rich. Matter of fact, her husband made a fortune like in the 70s or 80s in the real estate market. And that's all the husband did. He sat in his office and played real estate. I played the stock market. So I had a very, very rich aunt, Auntie Sylvia, and she lived in her bedroom. She had a luxurious bedroom, and she hurt her back and never left her bed again and was straight up hooked on opiates.
Yeah.
And we all know she said like she just didn't want to ever get up again. Like she always said, my back, I can't walk. She got super hooked on opiates and just chain smoked, those long, thin Virginia Slims.
Oh, yeah.
In her bed watching her shows. The narcissist, Tova's mother, where I'm going, the one who killed herself on Thanksgiving,
right,
also got hooked on opiates, and it destroyed her.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not uncommon for middle-aged women and older women to be hooked on opiates.
Dude, I think every single person watching this right now knows of a person that they would have never dreamed would have been addicted to stuff.
Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden you go in for maybe a sports injury and you need a little action after a surgery or something, and next thing you know, it just sets you off. And you're never the fucking same.
2 aunts in my family had back injuries, and they both became opiate addicts.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I mean, and it's sad because like that was the solution, So she walked around a big chunk of her life zombified, basically.
And back then, they didn't realize the dangers of opiates. I mean, they were prescribing opiates back then like Tic Tacs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I got to get to a place where I can remember some good stuff.
Well, hold on. I still have a question I want to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I feel like one of the reasons you survived this very stressful...
Why are we getting the best sunrise since me and you have been doing these things,
it's your mother.
It's your fucking mother. Nuts. Look at this thing behind me.
Dude. That's amazing. That really... Dude, it looks fake.
It looks like a fucking painting.
No, that looks like... That looks like the backdrop of the morning show you do every day.
It's insanity that we're getting this sunrise today.
Take a still picture of that, dude. Take a still picture. You should take a still picture of that. Anyways,
yeah.
I think part of the reason you were able to survive a very stressful environment was you were able to lean on your brothers and sisters. I'm sure you guys got together and talked about the common stresses of your mother.
Oh, of course.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have made it probably. Like, I'm an only child. I don't know how the fuck I made it.
I think being from a big family, yes, I think we held each other together as best we could. I really do believe that. Other memories, growing up, my mom would have to, she would have to go to mental hospitals from time to time, and I would have an aunt over, taking care of us, or finding my mom. I never asked my siblings, but I found my mom in the attic once, just in the middle of a fucking breakdown, and the guilt we would feel, I like I said, I got to speak for just myself, but I know a lot of this stuff is very, very similar. Trust me. The guilt I would feel when my mom would go away to the mental part of the hospital, right, for a few days, the peace you would feel instantly in the house, the peace, you would be like, oh, look what this could be. And then, and fast forward, that door would open. It'd be good to see mom again for an hour or two, and then it would just go. I'm like, what did you fucking learn in there? You're going right. Look at this sunrise. This is
Opie, I can't even focus on you right now. That is such a ridiculous sunrise.
How is this happening today?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. After we're done, I'm going to go back to. I'm going to punch up the episode, and I'm going to take a still shot of like, where are we? 38 minutes in.
Yeah,
right, 38 minutes in. That is fucking. That should be your picture, dude. That should be like.
Let me take it for you.
That's ridiculous.
It's so weird. It's happening today. I'll send you that picture. But anyway.
Yeah.
And then
Can I say one more thing? I do think that's a sign from your mother. If you choose to believe that.
It's a little weird, man.
We're talking about her, right?
It's one reason why I like live streaming from this location in my apartment to hopefully get sunrises like this. And we really haven't gotten that many cool sunrises since I came back from the beach. But anyway, other thoughts, like we weren't allowed to ever confront my mom ever. We knew as the lesser of two evils was to just let her fucking run the house like that.
Was your mother like a religious woman? She went to church?
She hated the Catholic Church.
Oh, okay.
They were both brought up very Catholic. She used to tell stories about the nuns and how scary they were and how they beat the shit out of the kids in Catholic school. She's from that generation.
Hold on. Let me try to understand what you just said. Your mother and father were both raised very Catholic?
Yep.
And then they turned out to hate the Catholic Church?
Well, my dad realized that the Catholic religion wasn't telling the full story. Right. He was really obsessed with that, and he loved digging into all the scrolls and all the stuff that wasn't actually too public. He was very interested in digging
the mysticism of it,
much deeper than what
the mysticism.
Was yeah, because supposedly there's a ton of shit they left out of the Bible and all this stuff.
Right.
And
I just find it odd that like
if you go all of that.
Yeah, huh? I just find it odd. I find it odd if, like, for your mother, you grow up a strict Catholic and then that hating the Catholic religion. To me, that says something bad happened.
Well, no. Well, she would talk about the nuns, and they would physically abuse you in Catholic school. Yeah, she's from that generation. If you have older people of the Catholic faith in your family, they will tell you stories that the nuns were to be feared. They were scary people. They would hit you with rulers on your hands and stuff. They were disciplinarians. It was bad.
You know, the reason I say that is because I'm from Boston, and the Catholic Church, there was such a scandal in the Catholic Church in Boston that pretty much, if you're from Boston, either you were molested or you knew somebody who was molested by a priest in Boston. That's why I'm like, that's why I said that. I'm wondering what happened to your mother, but I guess it was the nuns.
She would focus on the nuns, and then she turned her back on religion in general, because I've said it recently. You got to give her a little bit of a break, because she also had 7 kids on top of her issues, and that's not easy. And my mom, I will say this about her: she tried her best with what she had. She definitely tried her best to raise us properly and make sure we had clothes and food and everything else. So.
I have another question. What the hell did your father do your father must have been making a lot of money to support 7 fucking people. How do you support 7 people? How do you feed them? How do you clothe them?
We were in extreme debt. My dad died with not even really a bank account.
What did your father do for a living?
He was like an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Well, he had early success in real estate. And I tell this, and people, I don't give a shit what people believe or not. This is the God's honest truth. My dad ran in the same circles as Donald Trump's father back in the day in Long Island City in real estate. He knew Donald Trump's father. And my dad was pretty successful in real estate back then. But it was also back then when you weren't making insane money like they do today. But he did all right for himself. And that all went away when he met my mom, because my mom, I think the story of my dad is that he was more than capable of providing for a family of a total of 9. But with my mom's issues getting worse and worse year after year, it made it almost impossible for him to even leave the fucking house. So it all went away slowly. And then every once in a while, he had an office in the house I grew up in. He was in there like 16 hours a day, hustling. He turned more into an entrepreneur. And then every once in a while, he would hit on something, and we would have like a huge check come in. And it would be nice, but that money would go away really quickly. And for most of my time growing up, we had very, very little money. Very little money.
All right. So here's another question. So what's the next plan? Or like, you having a big funeral? Like, what goes on now? What are you doing?
I think she's already been cremated, and I don't think there's going to be a memorial, because that's
like just the family. What about the cemetery? You don't have a plot for her? You don't have like a
we have
your father, right?
Yeah, we have plans for that. I don't know how that's gonna. I don't know. She might be buried by just some. She might just be buried with a couple Mexicans and some shovels.
No, they don't bury like the family.
They're gonna put her. I think in with my dad. So and I think
that's in Long Island.
I think that might happen with none of us around, and then maybe eventually. I'll go there.
But that's in Long Island?
Yeah, somewhere on Long Island. But anyway, what was I saying? So, so my mom.
You get together, you put the rock on top of the.
All that stuff. So my mom is like, she didn't like the Catholic faith because she didn't want all of us kids. She told anyone that would listen, she didn't want all these goddamn kids. One of my siblings told a story to me a couple of days ago that he was living in the house after college, and he was paying rent. My mom was all about making us pay rent when we moved back in. Oh, give me the rent, $200 a week, and
back then it's a lot of money.
And he got a gig in the city. He was going to move out to try to start his own life with his job in the city. And my mom turned to my dad and said, "I told you we should have had an abortion." Jesus Christ. Just fucking crazy, dude. Fucking crazy.
And what does your father do when she says that? He like chuckles?
No. He was deeply depressed that he couldn't figure it all out.
But he doesn't say like, "Hey, you don't talk to my kid like that."
No, man. I mean, that leads to something I do want to say. My dad, he
didn't stick up for you in front of the mother?
Not as much as, like I said, this is my story because I know
was your father afraid of your mother?
Yes, I have probably a couple siblings watching this. I think my dad was doing the best he could with the situation. He knew, like, I don't know what the fuck to do. He probably was thinking, I can't raise 7 kids by myself. He was absolutely scared of her going off the deep end. One thing that really needs to be said today, I told my wife this years ago, and she just, it floored her. I grew up in a house where I was convinced that if things went too sideways, my mom would end our life. I was convinced of that. I was convinced she was capable of doing that.
That's a big burden to carry.
I was convinced of that. Whether it's real or not,
doesn't matter if it's
real or not. But so when I was getting older, like most of the time in the house, we weren't allowed to talk back to my mom, confront her on any of the shit she was doing, because it would just make it way worse, like way worse. But then you get a little older. I'm coming home from college. Now I got some balls. I got a foot out of the situation. I got a life outside the house. So I started confronting her a little bit. And one time she was in a full mental breakdown. And there was a confrontation between me and her because I was like, this is wrong. I would tell my dad, this is wrong. This is wrong what mom is doing to us. Not just me, us. And you know what my dad's answer was? And my dad was a great guy. Great. I don't want to like sugarcoat it. He was a great guy. He would say, she's mentally ill. That was his answer. When all hell was
breaking loose. Suck it up.
When all hell was breaking loose around our house, and I would go to my dad. Like I said, I'll tell my stories today. I would go to my dad. You see what she did? You saw. Like, I'm like almost thinking like, finally, right? And he would go, she's mentally ill. And then you would have to just like sulk away like, fuck, man. Like, what the? I mean, come on.
Well, by the way, that's another type of trauma when you go to your father to save you.
Right.
And he doesn't. That's another type of trauma.
So then I remember distinctly, like my mom was coming down the stairs in the living room. She was going to the hospital again. I was older at this point. I was probably, my memory sucks with some of the stuff. I was in college, so I was anywhere from 18 to 21. And, obviously I acted up about what was going on. And my mom's coming down the stairs with her little bag to go to the hospital again. And she's just looking me in the eye like a devil. And she goes, Greg, you don't have to worry about me anymore. Like Mommy Dearest screaming, you won't have to worry about me anymore.
My mother's favorite movie.
Huh? Yeah.
My mother's favorite movie.
Oh, no. Well, I joked about that. But when I saw Mommy Dearest, I was literally triggered. That's literally a documentary. It's a It's not a Hollywood movie for a lot of us. It's a fucking documentary. So
that would be, but the running, I'm not joking. Like by the way, so I haven't spoken to my mother in 3-4 years.
Right.
But back in the day, the running joke was for every birthday, I would get a Mommy Dearest birthday card. No, it was like Mommy Dearest with the coat hanger. She always had one. Like she ordered them. Let me say this. Hold on, quick. Yeah. We were literally, so we have a lot in common. I haven't spoken to my mother in 3-4 years. You and I literally last week doing the live stream at Get Parts said, you know, Opie, you said, I haven't spoken to my mother in 7 years. And I said, I haven't spoken to my mother in 4 years. My mother's in her late 80s. She may even be in the early 90s now. And I said, gee, I don't even know if my mother's alive or dead anymore, but I probably would feel it.
Right.
And then you said, well, I think my mother's alive because someone would notify me. And then a few days later, your mother passed away.
I know. Yeah, we were having that exact conversation.
We were literally talking about it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Hold on. Did you sense anything on November 22nd? Honestly, was it like, if you go back to November 22nd when your mother passed away, did you have any inclination? Did you like, hey, something seems weird?
No, because I was in.
What day was that?
Saturday, right? I was. No, man. Me and my wife were celebrating our anniversary. We were very, very happy. It was casual but cool.
Right.
I had the idea because now my kids are older. I had the idea of eating at the restaurant where me and my wife had our first date, which was literally the day before I was restarting my radio career. It was the day before I had my first show at Sirius XM, and we went to this little local restaurant. And
in the Upper West Side?
Yeah, close to here. So we had an awesome dinner. Everything was just nice. So.
Yeah, because me, the Star Wars thing, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I feel a disturbance in the Force. Yeah. I truly believe I would sense something. I do.
I knew she was coming. I mean, I think this is good because, my mom's issues made me look into like my issues and stuff, and I started therapy around the time I met my wife because I didn't want to. The one thing you learn is, and I have said this over the years jokingly, but I truly, truly, truly mean this. And I want to say this today. If you have kids, inevitably you're going to mess them up. Hopefully not too bad. And all you want to do as a father is mess them up in new ways. I think that's the best you could hope for when you're raising kids. Am I trying to mess them up? Of course not. Am I providing for them? Yes. Am I there for them? All of that. But knowing the triggers that my mom did to me and my siblings, I am very focused not to do the same shit. And I think that's important because you got to try the best you can to break the cycle. My mom actually tried to break the cycle because, like we said, we were talking about recently, her mom was way worse than my mom. And my mom recognized that and knew I got to cut her out. My own mom cut her mom out of her life.
Let me ask you this. At some point before you had children, were you actually concerned that you would be abusive to your children the way your mother was to you? You never thought that?
No, but I had like, I had a way of communicating where I yelled and screamed a lot. I don't do that. I mean, at all anymore. Very rarely. I was even joking with my daughter on the way home from school yesterday because she feels bad. She goes, Dad, I just didn't know your mom. I'm like, I know, I did that. I did that for the sake of our family.
So what about on the other side? Do your children have a relationship with their grandfather on the mother's side?
They have a very similar upbringing as I did. Like, one side of the family, they don't know that much, unfortunately. And then the other side, it's all in, very, very, very close. And that's pretty much how I was brought up. I didn't know anything about my mom's side of the family, very little. And my dad's side of the family, extremely close. I got so many cousins that are almost like brothers and sisters to me. We were that close.
Oh, but you know what I'm thinking now? I hope it's not true because we talked about it last week. We both don't talk to our mothers. Both our mothers are Polish. I believe my mother may actually be 89 or 90.
Right.
If my, is my mother going now? It's like that's what I'm thinking. Like, oh shit.
You know, and then there's people that are like, life's too short. People would always say to me, and they meant well, life is too short. Go see your mother. And I don't think those people fully understand like some of these tough decisions that I'm not the only one that had to make a tough decision like this. I know I'm talking to people. I'm talking their language today, to cut someone out of your life, like your mom, a sister, a brother, like that's fucking pretty intense. I didn't take that lightly. The fact is, the reason why I'm not having major breakdowns over the death of my mom is that I mourned her passing many years ago. It's finalized on November 22nd, but I had to say goodbye to her a long fucking time ago, bro. When I exhausted everything I could possibly do for her, I had to let go.
It takes a healthy person to walk away from a destructive relationship because it's called self-care. You need to step away from that so you can actually be a healthy, productive human being. Yeah, by the way, people say to me, Ron, are you serious? You haven't spoken to your mother in 4 years? What are you fucking? Life is too short. Go reach out to your mother now before you regret it, before it's too late. I'm like, you don't get it. Calling her would be the regret because
it's pure saying that.
It's pure toxicity.
You don't get it. Saying that. And listen,
you don't get it. It's harmful for both of us.
Ron, we're kind of similar, man, because when people say life is too short to me, I get so mad, and I'll tell you why. The reason I do certain things is because life is too short. Life is too short is the reason why I had to cut my mom off literally 7 years ago. It was because life is too short. There's other things without getting into it. Why don't you do this, Oprah? Do that, Oprah? And my answer always, and they always say, life is too short. Why aren't you blank? And I'm not bringing up people from my past right now because it's not about that. But I will always write them back and say, that's the reason why I don't do it.
It takes a strong person to walk away from a loved one who's abusive, because otherwise, if you don't walk away from that person, you become codependent and they will suck and drain your life force and you won't be able to continue on your life's journey. Dude. So it is a very brave thing to do. And you have to do it because life is short. Life is short.
Dude, can you put on a red wig, dress a little sexy, put on a little makeup? Because you sound exactly like my therapist.
Oh, your therapist is a Jewish woman? Really? That's what your therapist says to you?
I had that exact rap. Exact rap. And she's spot on. There's reasons. My mom is the reason that thank God I don't do this anymore. My mom is the reason why I surrounded myself with very toxic people. There's a reason, because I learned through therapy, and actually my wife gets a lot of this credit too. I learned that the reason why I surrounded myself with toxic people was because that was my baseline growing up. My baseline.
That's all you knew.
Huh?
It's all you knew. It was your comfort zone.
It was my baseline. I needed chaos around me to feel something, to understand.
Interesting. You needed chaos around you, and you became a shock jock.
Yeah, and then I didn't even understand that until I went through therapy. That was my baseline. I make much better fucking decisions who I allow in my life. Thank God. But that's all I knew. I had, I try not to, like I've said many times, I try to not go through life with a lot of regrets, but there were really solid, good people that I could have been friends with over the years. Good people, man, solid. And I blew them off because they were boring to me.
Opie,
because I needed crazy.
Opie, how about this? How about something? We're getting past 7. How about, I don't want to end on a negative. I want to end on a positive. Give me a beautiful Thanksgiving memory with your mother.
Oh my
There has to be
God.
one. There has to. I mean, every Thanksgiving can't be a disaster. Come on.
Wow. I'm trying.
Really? Are you telling me Thanksgiving was super stressed?
Like,
you don't have a beautiful, loving Mary?
No. The fact, it's really important to say that, my mom raised us the best she could. She gave us good, solid values. She provided for us the best she could. She worked her ass off. Unfortunately, because of everything, it makes it hard to remember that stuff, but there was always a meal on the table. Thanksgiving was always over the top. Thanksgiving was actually a day that was a happy day in our house.
So hold on. So your mother was a good cook?
She was all right. Yeah. I mean, over the years, her skills kind of fell off, but she had a meal on that table every single night. And Thanksgiving was a day I did look forward to, and we all would go back home to my mom's house. And we knew that was a day that there would be no fucking turmoil for real. None.
So there you go.
Yeah, none. And then the other side of that is then you would have the hope that, okay, this could be the beginning of something, you saw what it could be. And then unfortunately right around the corner, it would go back to the craziness. But my mom, she had a great sense of humor. She was a great storyteller. She made friends wherever she went. She would laugh her ass off over Carol Burnett. Loved her maple walnut ice cream. We had to get a gallon of maple walnut ice cream for her, and
that's so New England. That's so New England. Maple walnut ice cream is fucking delicious.
I actually like it because I had to learn to like it because, like, one of the weird things in my house, like when we went to Friendly's, we did Friendly's runs.
Oh yeah.
We had a half gallon of maple walnut for mom, and then a half gallon for the rest of us to share. So obviously we're going through our half gallon pretty quickly. So then I learned to like maple walnut because that was the only ice cream left in the house.
Yeah.
But I think she's at peace. I think.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? When you say I think she's at peace, she's back. She's back in spirit. She's back where she came from.
Right. I think
this was just a theme. This was a theme she explored, and I know this is weird for me to say. You chose your mother. You chose this experience for your benefit as well.
Yeah. I think, no, she is at peace. I mean, this life was very, very tough for her. She had an insanely tough life. And I think she tried the best to her abilities to try to figure it out. And in the end, I don't think she ever fucking figured it out. And, rest in peace to my mom. I mean, that's that.
So what about, does she have belongings? What happens to all that stuff?
Very few at this point. She's been I don't even know if there'd be anything that she has that I would actually even want.
Like, is there like a will? You got money coming?
I mean, God bless one of my brothers. He's been the point man with that stuff for a lot of years. And I know that was tough on him and stressful on him. And, I don't know. I'll learn more. You want a good memory?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So in my house, when you acted up and my mom was mad at you, right? For nonsense, by the way, you're looking at 7 kids that are good fucking solid people. There's nothing majorly wrong with any of us. None. And when my mom would go at us, it was for the dumbest, stupidest things. Dumb, stupid. It wasn't like you came home on drugs or got a girl pregnant or none of this stuff. It was all just dumb nonsense. That's why it's so infuriating to me. But when my mom didn't like you, one of the things she loved doing, and this is very awkward when you're coming home from Geneseo with like your little college girlfriend and you bring her into the house. And my mom was on her best behavior when I brought my college girlfriend home, and I'm like, hey, we got some We got some photo albums. You get to learn about me a little more. Let's go through the photo albums. And you would go through the photo albums like that. And she'd be like, why is one of your brother's pictures cut out? she would cut faces out of fucking family photos. People that she, had a severe problem with. You don't come back from that. So the photo album would be filled with pictures like, what? I don't want to mention names. Why is his picture cut out? Oh, my mom had a falling out with him, and this is how she handles it. She cuts his face out of all the family photos. Is that a good memory, Ron? Is that a good
The memory is like your mother with scissors in her hands. It's a little scary.
Yeah. Well, I have one brother
I do remember you telling me a story about like Christmas morning where you guys had to rush out or something and get a card, or was it for her birthday?
Jesus. Well, I mean, there's plenty of stories, sure. Like my mom, a card to my mom was everything. But we were just irresponsible kids. So, it's like my son. My son doesn't get us a card for everything. And I'm like, I get it. You're fucking 15. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? But in my house, if you didn't give my mom a card for, let's say, Valentine's Day or whatever, she would yell and fucking scream. Yell and scream, where's my card? Where's my card? Freddie! And then as kids, we would walk to the stationery store, young kids. I don't think I was a teenager at this point, maybe 12, with tears in your eyes to go get mom's card from the stationery store. And then you would walk home. The stationery store was a short walk for us. And then we come back in the house.
Thank God.
And then we come back in the house with her Valentine's Day card. And she'd be like, oh, what's this? And then all happy as she's reading her card where we're signing it like you're the greatest mom ever. And you would still have tears in your eyes. It was, I can't sugarcoat it. It was tough. It was a tough upbringing. Tough.
The part I love is you're telling me part of her screaming routine would be go, Freddie!
Freddie!
Like, Freddie, can you believe it? No cow.
The screams for Freddie. Freddie! Yeah.
That's
all
hilarious.
my dad would want to do is watch his New York Knickerbockers. He just wanted to watch his goddamn basketball game. And
he was in the basketball?
Freddie! Oh, my God. Rest in peace, Mom. All right. I got to go, Ron.
Rest in peace, Mrs. Hughes. Or Hugheses. No, it's Hughes? Hugheses. Yeah, sure. How do you pronounce your last name? Hughes.
Hughes. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Mrs. Hughes. You have a very nice son.
I try to be better every day, Ron. That's all you can do. You got to you got to acknowledge where you come from. You got to acknowledge the possible issues you could have from your upbringing, and you got to do something about it. So the best I could do every day is just try to be a little better every fucking day. That's it.
Hey, quick question, just to change the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you get all your fucking Thanksgiving shopping done in Long Island in one shot?
I did.
You did.
And you know that it was less than $200 out there?
I was going to ask you how much it was.
Less than 200. And
all right.
We have everything.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I got to get is pies.
There's no way it would be under 200 if you chopped in the city.
Dude, that would be, I'm telling you, it would have to be at least 350, I would say.
Over 3, yeah, 100%.
At least.
Yes.
That's why I did that last week.
I don't think, honestly, I don't think people realize how fucking expensive food is in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, you can't even buy a steak anymore. You know, meat is up like 25%. It's like $45 to buy like a pork chop in the supermarket. Dude, those are restaurant prices.
Exactly. Ron, thank you for getting me to do this today. I wasn't going to do this. Ron's like, you got to do this. I'm like, all right.
You have to do it. I mean, I barely said 2 words. This was a therapy session for you.
I've been leaking tears all morning, just leaking. I'm not going to break down and cry in front of anybody.
This was very therapeutic for you. Very.
I literally got just, my eyes are just leaking is the best way I can explain it. Ron, I want you to have a good Thanksgiving. I know you're going to get on the bus. I'm gonna have a wonderful Thanksgiving. To be totally honest with you,
You know what I kind of want, but it's up to you. I would love to see like what your mother looked like, sort of like in her prime. Like, I assume she was an attractive woman. Do you have a picture of your mother?
Maybe.
Do you, like? I assume.
I'm not even joking.
I bet that she was an attractive woman.
Yeah, when she.
It'd be nice to see what your mother looked like. You know.
She, she had a nice sparkle.
All right.
When she smiled, and
well, you told me she's Polish, so I know she had great fucking skin, great cheekbones.
She, no, she was definitely a good-looking woman, and
yeah.
You know, I think the thing that was so frustrating was like you saw what it could be with her.
The potential.
Come on.
The potential.
Like every Christmas, like she gave us an amazing Christmas. It wasn't my dad, it was my mom. She gave us an amazing, here's a memory, Ron. She gave us an amazing Christmas. Like it was insane. You would think, you would wonder to yourself, where the fuck did they get this money? We had gifts piled up to the ceiling every
hold on.
Christmas.
When you say amazing Christmas, you're talking about the presents, like the amount of presents?
The whole thing was
the whole thing.
Well thought out, and you know, and then you learned only years later that they would just max out credit cards to an insane limit. My mom used to cut up credit cards and put them in the wood burning stove so she would stop fucking using them. I got a ton of stories, to be honest with you. I don't even know which ones to tell, but she would give us an amazing Christmas every year. They made sure it was as special as possible. But then I would find my mom a lot of Christmases extremely sad in the corner. She wouldn't do it in front of us. You know, she had some awareness at times. She'd be extremely sad. And that would go back to her goddamn childhood.
It's a shame, Opie. Like, his modern medicine, like, your mother's condition is very curable now. It really is.
Well, I think, I think they've gotten the medication in a better place. Sure. But I could speak, like, you know, then you didn't even know how to help her, because like she definitely had the issues, and then on top of that, she's now addicted to all sorts of shit because they just threw tranquilizers at shit.
So I kind of can relate a little bit. So the narcissist, my father's sister, who took her life, her daughter Tova, where I'm going to today, the stress of Tova's mother, my father's sister, having an extreme narcissism as a mother, Tova, the daughter, ended up having a fucking massive nervous breakdown.
Right.
And was in a mental hospital for like a month and a half.
Right.
They found Tova sitting on the front yard, sitting Indian style, waiting for Santa to come down from space. She's Jewish, for Christ's sakes. And she got diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. And I'm a very psychic person. I had such a strong feeling that was the mental stress of having a mother like that. So I feel like your mother also had those similar conditions from the stress of her upbringing and her mother.
Oh yeah, man.
It broke my cousin. It broke her. And to this day, if she's not on her medication, she'll hallucinate. Yeah. And I know that's from the stress of growing up as a child.
Yeah, I think my saving grace is I had a plan, and I acted on it. I remember going to college. My parents actually were driving me to Geneseo.
I have one question. Like, so all your brothers and sisters turned out like normal and healthy and successful?
I mean, I wouldn't say like to say.
No, but I'm saying like that's also a compliment to your mother.
No, to say I don't know if anyone's actually normal.
No, I don't mean it like that, but like you're all productive human beings, aren't you?
Yes, we got.
Are you adding to society?
Huh?
You're adding to society in a positive way.
Yeah.
So good for your mother.
I'm actually surprised that we don't have major shit.
Right. I think that's
I'll say it that way. I'm very surprised we don't have major shit. Yes.
Right.
I'm very
by the way,
surprised by that.
The reason that is
but I could only speak for myself. My saving grace was I knew this upbringing was tough and not right. I knew my only chance was to just get out of the house as soon as I can. I knew my dad was going to be no help because I think he was in it to win it. He didn't know what the fuck to do. He was just trying to keep some kind of stability in the house. So I knew I would go to college.
Your father was extremely codependent. I knew
that would be my foot out the door. And even though coming back into this environment was tough, I also knew that I was on my way to doing my own thing. And I remember the day my parents were driving me to Geneseo for my freshman year. I remember waking up one of my brothers, if not both my brothers. I got twin brothers that are 6 years younger than me. And I remember saying goodbye to them. And I wasn't saying goodbye to them like I was saying goodbye to them. Like I knew like my life.
You weren't saying goodbye. I'm going to college. I'll see you at break. You're like, see ya. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I knew that day when I got in the car and pulled away from my house.
Okay. You're older than them. They still, okay.
I don't know if they look at it this way, but I knew I had to say goodbye. And not just because I was going to college. Their older brother was going to college. I was saying goodbye like things are going to be different from this day on. And certainly it wasn't a piece of cake. I was always getting back into that situation. One of the things when there's so much, Ron, but I got to go. When I was in Boston and we got the big gig to move to New York, I remember being at the tolls at the Throgs Neck Bridge. I'm about to have an amazing experience, career opportunity of a lifetime. I was going to be on WNEW in afternoons. Like the radio guys dream of this. I was happy in Boston because I was so far from my mom. Because the distance thing, and back then it took a lot to keep in touch with somebody. Long distance phone calls and stuff were not cheap, so she couldn't call me on a regular basis. And I remember I would hang up, whether I was in Buffalo, Rochester, or Boston. I would hang up after one of these phone calls. I'd be depressed for days. She had to trash everybody. It was like, why don't we talk about anything but? And then when I was at the tolls, I got really sad as I was looking to the city. Now I'm on the Throgs Neck Bridge. You can see the city to your right as you're going to Long Island.
Yeah,
I was sad because I'm like, holy shit, you're going back into the Lion's Den. You're going back into the Lion's Den. You're now too close to home again.
Damn, your mother really put a spell on you guys.
Yeah, and then
wow.
and then I would have this insane success, and I felt guilty that I was happy. Guilty because every time I had any phone call or interaction with her, she was just literally miserable with her life, and I would feel guilty that I would be feeling happiness.
By the way, that's exactly why you have to separate yourself, because you have a conversation with your mother, and it takes you 2 days to recover. If I reach out to my mother now, it would just be. It wouldn't be a good conversation.
Right.
The last time I tried to reach out to my mother, I said, she was on guard. She didn't know what I was going to do. She didn't know if I was going to yell at her. And I said, hey, Ma. And she went, yeah. Yeah. And I said, hey, I sent you something in the mail. It was like a surprise. Did you get it? And she went, is it ticking?
Oh, that's
like,
hilarious.
did I send her a book? I mean, that's it. I mean, that's how my mother committed to me. Yeah. Is it? Hey, Ma, I sent something in the mail. Did you get it? Is it ticking? Like, there you go.
There you go. All right, Ron.
Anyways, dude, I have to start getting ready too.
Yeah. But I guess thanks for, I don't know.
Opie, this was first of all, this was great. And you needed this.
No, it's funny.
You needed this.
I'll leave you with this. My mom actually, when I got famous, and she would hear some of the stories on the show, that there's some wild stories of my upbringing that I've told over the years that are fucking hilarious to me and hilarious to my siblings. That's how we dealt with this. We dealt with a lot of this stuff through humor, if you want to know the truth. And some of these stories are fucking hilarious. My mom begged me most of the time I was famous. I'm not famous anymore, but during the time I was famous, to not write the book until she died. Because people are like, why haven't you written the book? And I'm like, I can't write the book without really dipping into this fucking heavy shit. And my mom had enough awareness to go, don't write the book until I die.
Simon and Schuster, are you listening?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when people are
New York Times bestseller.
When people are just AIing books now.
Mommy Dearest,
right.
The real version.
All right, Ron. Have a good bus
All right,
ride.
Opie, once again, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah. And yes, your mother truly is at peace now. And you're at peace, which is even more important.
Yeah, I think I am. I think there's like, even though I didn't see her for the last 7 years, there was always like this energy.
And you know what I would do, just as very healthy, on Thanksgiving Day, at the table when everyone's eating, toast your mother.
Yeah.
Ma, thank you. Thank you for raising us. Thank you. You know, there's still positive. Toast your mother on Thanksgiving Day. Give her a nice send-off.
I like that, Ron. All right, Ron, I got to go.
All right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
I say this, I do thank my mom today. I do thank her.
Absolutely.
I do thank her.
Absolutely.
And that's it. All right.
She brought you into this world, so thank her. She taught you valuable lessons.
Bitches. She wanted me. I was first.
And she taught you valuable lessons by showing you the dark side. That's true.
There you go.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Ron. Thank you.
Right, happy Thanksgiving, Opie.
Yeah, you too, buddy. All right, guys. I'm definitely taking a few days off. I'm taking a few days off. I'll see you guys soon. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon. Rest in peace to mommy.